Welcome to everybody to the Kiuwan webinar. Thanks for sharing this moment with us. The webinar will take around 40 minutes. Then there will be a time for question. Please raise your hand, ask your question in the chat. My colleagues and me will try to answer as soon as possible. And thank you very much for attending. The webinar is Audit your application with the Kiuwan Local Analyzer. So we will talk about this local agent that we can install in our machines and then run analysis locally. Let me introduce myself, just some few words. My name is Sebastián Revuelta. I'm Customer Success Manager at Kiuwan. It means that, I am taking care of the customer, speeding up the use of the Kiuwan, giving best practice, tips, in order to use in the best way our platform, our security platform. As career, I am software engineer. I have obsession with data. I see data everywhere, graphs, statistics, metrics, plots, in order to paint and to help the business to make decisions, to make the right decisions. And of course, I love software quality and security. And in my free time, we can say, I'm doing pre-sales activity, mainly in the Spanish market and in the Italian market too. The agenda for the webinar is this one that you can see here. We will do a brief introduction to the techniques behind Kiuwan. So it means SAST and software composition analysis. We will talk about the architecture of the Kiuwan Local Analyzer. It will be the key, it will be the goal of this webinar. Then we will do a practical session. We will launch different analyses with the Kiuwan Local Analyzer, not only from the interface, but also from command line. And we will play with the different parameters, for instance, exclusion, inclusion patterns, just the analysis model, just the different labels that we can play during the analysis. We will see in details during this practical session. And finally, we will check the results in the Kiuwan dashboard, and there will be a time for question and answer. Okay, so let's go. First, what is Kiuwan? Or maybe it will be better to see this question: why do we need security analysis? And as we can see here in this graph, is a graph from the MVD source. It means the United States database of vulnerabilities. We can see that the number of vulnerabilities has increased dramatically in the recent years. So we are talking around 70,000 vulnerabilities last year. Many of them are critical or very high, so it means that they have a big impact in our software. It's easy for a hacker to exploit these vulnerabilities, so we need to take care of them. We need to check the security of our software and just to detect this type of security defects. There are different techniques to analyze the software to detect security defects in our source code. You can see here in the screen different techniques. For instance, dynamic application security testing. It means when you run the application, or interactive application security testing, then when you instrument the application in order to detect vulnerabilities, or static application security testing, known as SAST, that you don't need to execute the application, so you can gather information about vulnerabilities just parsing the source code. Software composition analysis, when you want to detect vulnerabilities in your open source components. And if you want to manage all these type of analysis from a unique platform, then we are talking about the orchestration. And we will see that with Kiuwan, you can run static analysis what we call the code security module. We can run software composition analysis, is the module that we call insights. And we can govern on all this analysis. We can manage all this analysis and see a whole vision of all the health of our software in the governance and lifecycle modules. Okay, just some few words about these techniques that are behind Kiuwan. SAST, Static Application Security Testing. It is that we are going to analyze the source code, the proprietary code, the code that we have developed in order to detect the vulnerabilities, and software composition analysis, that it will detect vulnerabilities in our open source components. So in the third-party libraries that I am using in my software. We can see in this graph that nowadays I have my own source code, but behind there are a lot of line of code that are open source. So I need to check also this open source component. If we are talking about the Kiuwan Code Security module, it's important to say that we are supporting the different security standards in the market as OWASP or PCI or NIST. So if you want to run an audit, for example, with the OWASP top 10 rules, then you can do that with Kiuwan. Kiuwan is supporting more than 30 languages, from fashion languages as Scala or Kotlin or recently Go. We are supporting also all languages as COBOL or RPG or SAP. And of course, the most used languages as Java or JavaScript, PHP, and all the .NET world. And if we are talking, for instance, about JavaScript, then there's support for many frameworks as Angular, TypeScript, and so on. If we are talking about the Kiuwan Insights module, so the software composition analysis module, then it is very important to check, to detect the vulnerabilities that are living in this open source component, but also it's important to avoid the obsolescence. So if we are using a very old open source component, maybe a version from I don't know, 2009, so 10 years ago, then it's very important to see if there is a new version that can solve many problems. Or also it's important to check the license of this open source component. So if I am using the right license, and check if I am using maybe a open source component with a copyleft or copyright license, that I cannot do that. Okay, so at this point I would like to share this screen that I think is maybe the key of this webinar, because we will talk just a little bit about the Kiuwan architecture. And as you can see here, Kiuwan is a cloud solution. It's important to say that also if you need an on-premise solution, you can get that, because Kiuwan can be installed on your own server. But 90% of our customers have this solution, the cloud solution. But as you can see here, the analysis happens locally, because there is an agent that the name is Kiuwan Local Analyzer that you can install in your laptop, in your machine, your server, your continuous integration server, whatever you want, and then you can run the analysis locally. It reads the source code in order to detect the vulnerabilities, and then upload to the cloud the results, encrypted results. So all the things happen locally, but then the results are uploaded to the cloud. So the source code is always in your company, always in your infrastructure. You don't need to upload any source code to the cloud. So the key points of this architecture is that source code is not uploaded to the cloud. and you don't need to maintain your infrastructure with any server. Just the only thing that you need is this agent, this Kiuwan Local Analyzer, that the only requirement, as we will see, is to have installed Java 1.8 installed. Is the only thing. And then you can run the analysis locally. That's all. So we can say that users love this architecture because it's very easy to start with Kiuwan. In just, we will say, 2 minutes, we will have the first analysis, the first results, and we can start with our checks in the source code. So as a joke, we can say that love is in the air, but source code is not in the air. So the source code remains in our infrastructure. Okay, so how can we start with the Kiuwan Local Analyzer? There are 3 simple steps. First step is just to download this agent, this Kiuwan Local Analyzer. We will do now. Then we can scan the source code, just telling this Kiuwan Local Analyzer the folder where the source code is, and then we will check the results in the cloud. Okay, so at this point, we will start the practical session of this webinar. We will open the Kiuwan Local Analyzer, and we will start the game. We will play with this agent. Okay, so let's do that. I will go to the kiuwan.com page. I will go to the login page, and I will introduce my credentials. Okay, this is the Kiuwan dashboard. I can see here all my applications. As you can see here, around 20 or 30 applications I have analyzed. If I click in one of them, I will see the results in the right side. But how can I start? I need to download the Kiuwan Local Analyzer. So if I go to the user options, I will click here, and then I start the download of this local agent. Okay, it is a zip file, and if I go to the folder, I can see here that this zip file, and if I unzip this file, there is a folder with 2 executable files, one for Windows and one for Unix. I will choose in that case the Windows one, as I have a Windows machine. Then I will open this command, and as you can see here, the only requirement is to have Java 1.8 installed. It's the only requirement to execute this Kiuwan Local Analyzer. Then I will introduce my credentials. There is some advanced options. If you are accessing internet through a proxy, or if you want to configure your single sign-on access, then you can configure here. And just log in, and then I will see this screen where I have all my application, the 20 or 30 applications that I have in my Kiuwan instance. I can choose one, for example, web code, that maybe a lot of you know. It is a vulnerable application, so I will run an analysis with this application. Just the second step is just to choose the folder to analyze. As you can see here, I have the source code in this folder. And I can choose between different type of analysis, different Kiuwan analysis, baseline analysis, complete delivery, or partial delivery. We will see in details later what is this type of analysis. If I want to create a new application, maybe because it is not in the list, then I can write here new app, and then write a folder, a path where the source code is. And Kiuwan will create automatically this application. Okay, so I will select this one, web code. I will indicate here a label for the analysis. I will choose version 9.1, for example. And then I can continue. Kiuwan is looking in the source code what it needs to analyze. And we can launch different analysis, SAST analysis with code security and code analysis module. Code analysis, it talks more about quality, and code security, of course, about the security of the source code. And inside talks about the open source component and the security of these components. So I can choose only one, or I can launch both analyses. I will choose both. And here I can see what are the files that Kiuwan Local Analyzer is going to analyze. For example, 60 files HTML, or 203 files Java, and 100 files JavaScript. If I click here, show no matching extensions, I can see if there is an extension that I need to analyze. It's not the case, but it can happen. Mainly with all languages, as COBOL or SAP, they can have a strange extension, for example, TXT, or just that. So we need to indicate to Kiuwan that this extension belongs to COBOL, or to SAP, or to RPG, or whatever. So we can just start our first analysis. Here I have more options, advanced. So I can indicate just the memory. I can indicate if I want to upload the source code fragment with the defect. So imagine that you have a defect, a security defect in the line 100 of a specific file, then you can upload this line or not. It's optional, as you wish. So if you upload the line, then you will see in the result exact the line where the problem is. If you click false, then you will not upload anything. What you will see is that there is a problem in the line 100, but the line is not available. Okay, so we will choose in that case true, for example, and then we can save for current application, and we can analyze. So our first analysis is launched. Then we need to wait for the results. The Kiuwan analyses are faster in the sense that they read the source code, the different technologies with the different engines, and then we will check the results in the cloud in some minutes. But before looking at the results, we will launch a second analysis. I will open again a new Kiuwan Local Analyzer window, and we will launch a second analysis because we can launch many analyses in the same machine. Kiuwan can support that. We will choose the WebGo application again, but now we are going to select a different type of analysis. In that case, we will do a delivery analysis, and we can choose between complete or partial. Let me come back to the slides because I want to explain the difference between baseline analysis and delivery analysis. And I think that with this picture, it's more clear. So we will run baseline analysis when we want to have a picture of an application, because it is the version 1, or maybe the version 2, or maybe the version 2.4. So when there is a new release of my application, I can run a baseline analysis. It's very common that this baseline analysis corresponds with the master version, with the production version, and it has many advantages. For example, I can compare different baseline analysis in order to see if I am improving the security or not. I can see the evolution along the time in order to see if the evolution is positive or negative, if I am reducing the number of defects or not. So I can do that with the baseline analysis. But how is a normal day at the office for a developer. Normally they have a change request that come from business. They need to modify maybe just a small part of the application, maybe one file, maybe two files, maybe 5 files, and then they want to run a delivery analysis to check if the changes that they have done, they have this proper quality and the proper security. And Kiuwan will tell them if accept or reject this delivery according to some security gates, according to some checkpoints that we can configure. If Kiuwan is telling us that everything is okay, that there is no risk, that we can go on, then we can promote this delivery to the baseline, and we can continue with the next change. Okay, so in that case, imagine that we have done a small change in our application. So we will run a partial delivery. We can indicate here the name, the code of the change request. We will choose, for example, change request webinar. We will indicate here the branch name. It is development, for example, and just a delivery level. For instance, we will choose version 9.1.1. And we will indicate here in the advanced options that we want to analyze a specific file or a specific folder. Imagine that I have changed a folder, some files in a folder that the name is webcode server. So I indicate with this expression that I'm going to analyze all the files that are below this folder. So I include this pattern in the include patterns option. Okay, continue. And then if I want to be sure that I'm going to analyze this folder, I can click here in options, and then Kiuwan Local Analyzer is telling me that I'm going to analyze, this is the first analysis that has finished. As you can see, we will check the result later. And here we can see that in this partial delivery analysis, I'm going to analyze 2 files. If I click here, I can see that these 2 files belong to the folder that I have indicated. This file here, and this file here. And then I can click OK and analyze. So it's very easy for a developer to launch a second analysis with just in order to analyze the source code that he has recently changed. Okay, so it would take maybe 1 minute to analyze. You can check the log here in order to see what it's doing. Now it's executing the rules for technology Java. We can see all information for this new analysis. Okay. In the meantime, we can check the results for the first analysis. Let me go to the kiuwan.com. We can refresh the page. And we can see here that for the application web code, there is a new analysis that the level is version 9.1. The second analysis has finished. We will check the results in some seconds. Okay, and this is the result for the first analysis, version 9.1. 87 vulnerability is very high. So it has a poor security. As you can see here, the security rating is only 1 star out of 5. So we need to do some effort to repair all the defects, all the security defects that has this application. And if I go to the lifecycle module, I can see the results of the second analysis, change request webinar. As you can see here, it is from this 6/23, so from now. and we can see here the results. The version is the version 9.1.1. We have analyzed 2 files, and Kiuwan is telling me that it accepts this delivery because it has a proper security, it has a proper quality, because it has overcome all the checkpoints, all the security gates that I have defined in this audit. So there are 5 checkpoints, and I have overcome almost all the points. In fact, 4 out of 5. So I'm very happy with the results because I can go to the next stage with this delivery. I can promote this delivery to a baseline. What it means is that I can go with this delivery to the master version. Okay, so now what we can do is just to do the same, but from command line, because you can run analysis from command line. If I go here and I open a new console, this is maybe the more technical part of this webinar, because I will move to the folder where the Kiuwan Local Analyzer is. Here, okay. I have all the files here, and in the bin folder, there is a file that the name is agent, that it allows me to run local analysis from command line. As you can see here, I need to use the -- help in order to see all the commands that I can use. Okay, so here you can see the full list of all the parameters that I can use. From just to indicate the source path, for example, the name of my software, to indicate a label, to indicate, for instance, the analysis scope. So if it is a baseline or a complete delivery or a partial delivery, the change request. So many parameters that I can play with. Let me do my first analysis from command line. I will write agent, then with -n, I will indicate the name of the application. In that case is web code. With -s, I will indicate the source path. In that case, I'm going to look for my folder for this project. That is here, here, and here. So I will copy that. I will come back to the window. Then I have chosen my path. And I can indicate more options. For example, the scope of the analysis, the type of analysis, it is a baseline. I will indicate also a label. I will indicate version 2, for example, 9.2. And I will indicate the include patterns too, because I can do that also. And I will indicate that I want to analyze all the folders and subfolders that have this application. Okay, so now I can run my analysis. And voila, this is my first analysis from command line. We can see the log in the console. And as in the other example, I'm going to launch a second analysis from command line because Kiuwan allows to do that. I'm going to open a new console while the first analysis from command line is launched. I will move to the Kiuwan Local Analyzer folder. and I will launch a second analysis from command line. Okay. Then, in that case, I will do a partial delivery analysis. Okay. In that case, I will choose partial delivery. Then I will indicate that I'm going to analyze just a specific folder, as we have done in the previous analysis from the interface. We will analyze the web code server folder. What else? I can indicate also label if I wish. We can indicate here version 9.1, for instance. As it is a partial delivery, then I can indicate also the change request. For example, if I want to indicate that the change request is CR webinar 2, it will work properly. Okay, and that's all. This is my second analysis from command line. As you can see, it's very easy to launch this analysis. And then again, I can see all the log with all the options here. And first analysis is just below, and here we have our second analysis from command line. So this command line is very, very useful because we can integrate these calls from a continuous integration system. I can integrate these calls maybe in a script that I have developed. Maybe I can launch an analysis automatically after a commit or before a commit, as I wish. So there are a lot of options to launch this analysis from command line. While the analysis are finishing, let me come back to the presentation. I would like to share with you the next slide, because it is the normal life cycle of analysis. A developer is using an ID. It can be Eclipse or IntelliJ or Visual Studio, or just an editor that he or she is using. There is a change request that comes from business. Then the developer does the change, and then the developer does a commit. And when he launches this commit, we can analyze the source code with the last changes that he has done, and then to see if it has the proper security and the proper quality. Okay, so let's do that. So now I will be a developer, and I will launch an analysis automatically when I am running a commit. Okay, so imagine that I am a developer, so I will open my ID. In that case, it is Eclipse. I am developing this application. The name is Chess. I'm writing here my code. I'm doing some changes here. I'll save my file, and then I want to do a commit. I want to persist these changes in the repository. In that case, I'm working with Git as repository. So let me go to the folder where the source code is. It's here. And if I write git status, I can see that I have modified this file. So I will add this file to the git 80 HTML index into GSP. And now I can launch a commit to persist the result in the repository. I will indicate my first commit. Okay. And before launching, I will show you that this command will launch automatically a Kiuwan delivery analysis. Why? Because in the case of Git, let me go to the folder where the source code is. Okay. There is a Git folder with some hooks that can be like a trigger. And if you go here, you have different options. For example, pre-commit or commit. And if you open, you can write your own command here. And I have written this command here that is calling the Kiuwan Local Analyzer, as you can see, with the name of the application, with the current path, with a label, and I will run a partial delivery. And this command will be executed when I run a commit. So it is very useful to understand this type of calls, because you can integrate wherever you want, in your own scripts, in your continuous integration server, just wherever you want. Now that I am ready, I can do the commit. And as you can see, it runs the Kiuwan Local Analyzer. So it's very easy for a developer just to check the results and to see if Kiuwan is approving or rejecting my delivery, my last changes. In fact, I'm going to log in Kiuwan with the developer credentials in order to see the results of this delivery analysis, just to see if Kiuwan is approving or rejecting this delivery. Give me just some seconds in order to see if it finished, and then we will see the results in the dashboard. Okay, it's analyzing now the Java technology. Now it's analyzing the GSP technology. You can integrate this Kiuwan Local Analyzer whatever you want. If you are using maybe GitLab, or if you are using Jenkins, or if you are using Azure DevOps, just the continuous integration tool that you need, you can integrate these calls from your system and just to take advantage of that. Okay, so the analysis has finished. Then I will go to Kiuwan to see the results. Or I can copy this web page. I can see the results. Well, it's not finished. Let me log in with my credentials first, the developer credentials. In that case, I will choose the developer credentials. Okay. I will choose my application, my chess application that is here. I will go to Lifecycle. I will refresh the page. Okay, and I can see an analysis from 637. Is this analysis here? And Kiuwan is telling me that it's not going to approve this delivery. And if I click on the detail, I can see that I'm not overcoming, because there are critical defects in this application. In fact, I can see the details. There are some database access from a GSP page. And if I come back to the ID, I can go to the Kiuwan window I can load the result for this audit. Let me choose my application. Okay, and I will indicate here that I'm going to refresh the page with the last results. Okay, and I will choose here that I want to choose this analysis from 637. I click on OK, and Kiuwan is refreshing the Eclipse, the results for this delivery, and I can see that there is a critical defect here. I am accessing to database from the GSP page, so I can solve that, and I will do in a very easy way. I will not complicate my life. I will comment this line. It is not the best solution for that, but just to show you an example. Then I have fixed this vulnerability. Then I can run a new analysis, or what is better, I can do a commit. And then I will see that Kiuwan is giving me the green light to go on. Okay. And second commit, fixing the critical defect. Okay, and now Kiuwan is launching the second analysis automatically with a commit, and then with this analysis I will finish this technical part, and we will see that Kiuwan is giving me the green light to continue with this delivery. Then I can promote this delivery analysis as a promote, as a baseline analysis. Okay, so it will finish in some seconds. We will check the results. You can prepare your question, because just with this analysis we will finish this webinar. You can write your question in the chat if you have some questions. Okay, so we are finishing this analysis. Kiuwan has integration with many IDs, as Eclipse or Visual Studio or IntelliJ, all the JetBrains family. So if you are developing in PHP, there is also an ID, PHP Storm. So there is a lot of integration. Yeah, so we have finished this analysis. And then if we come back to Kiuwan and we refresh the page, just we can see that the last analysis from 642, it has the green light, so we can continue with this analysis because I have solved all the critical defects that this delivery have. Okay, so that's all from my side. I don't know if you have questions. I see that you are writing in the chat, and my colleagues are answering too. Okay, there are some questions. Is the Salesforce Apex language supported? There is no an engine. We don't have an engine for Apex, but there is a solution that if you go to the our GitHub account, you can find that we can import Apex defects in Kiuwan. We can share with you after the meeting the solution that we propose to import defects in Kiuwan for the Apex language. Can Kiuwan check for Android and iOS apps? Yes, because there are many rules for Android, that it is a Java language, and also for iOS apps, because there is support for Objective-C and Swift. So the answer is yes. Does Kiuwan support black box testing? So theoretically talking, it is white box testing because it reads the source code. So the answer is not. It is white box testing. Let me see if there are more questions. Okay, so don't hesitate to write all the questions that you have, even after the GoToMeeting. And just from my side, thank you very much for your attention. It has been a pleasure to be with you, and we will see in the next webinar, and we will be in contact. Thank you very much.